Hi guys, thought I would do a wee cut and colour for you today. So this doll's head, as you can see, is a bit of a disaster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her quite a short, layered, kind of graduated style. But what I'm going to do is, when I cut it, I'm going to actually leave some heavy bits and some bits, sort of liney bits, so that I can show you how to take it out. So I'll show you how to take it out with like a razor, with thinning scissors and ordinary scissors. So I'm deliberately doing that, okay? So I'm going to start, I'm just spraying this down because again, just working with these when they're soaking wet, they're just so hard to deal with. So I'm going to spray it as I go along. And I'll start at the back and I'll turn it round as I'm working. I'm going to take the length off first. And then I'm going to colour it. I'm going to give her an ultra purple root with high magenta ends. So it'll be really bright. Okay, so if I start here, hopefully you can see me okay. I'm going to just freehand some of this length off just now. Can you see me okay? So I'm just going to freehand some of this length off just to get rid of some of this length just now to get it out the road, because it's actually too long. Okay, so I'm just freehanding that. Okay, I'll come around this side. You can see, this has obviously been, this is the one that Kaylee, you were playing about with the colour when I had gave you all your wee formulas to mix up. So this is this head. Okay, there's the length off. If you excuse me, I've got a bit of cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the middle here. And I'm going to section it. Again, diagonal sections is what I always do, as you know. So I'm just going to spray this down. Diagonal sections again. I know I keep saying the same thing to you, but the head is shaped diagonally. So that is why I take diagonal sections. I always found that was one of the sort of good lessons that I learned when I started hairdressing, was all about the angles, because I think angles are really important on everything that you do. So I'm going to start at the middle here, and I'm going to do a graduation. Can you see my fingers? I'm going to do a graduation down at the bottom here. And I'm going to bring everything into that first guide. So if you look at the angle of my fingers are pointing up the way this side, so that's telling me that the top part of this is longer excuse me, than the bottom part. So I'm bringing it in, I'm bringing everything into the middle, okay? But as if you notice, you'll probably see it more in the next section. When I'm going up the sections, I don't take my fingers up as high, so I'll show you that. When we're done, again, opposite sides. So at this side, okay, this side I'm still bringing it in the middle. You see, okay? Bringing it in the middle again. So that my top part of my section is shorter than my bottom part of my section. And when you're pulling out, you create gradation. If you don't pull the hair out, you'll get a solid line. If you pull it out, you create gradation. So you need to be careful what way you're cutting hair. Whether do you want gradation or do you not want gradation? Excuse me again, to bear with me if I keep coughing. Been coughing the full night. I've got an hour's peace for the dogs just now, which is wonderful. Right, can you see? So there I've started doing my graduation at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this. Taking more sections down. Again, I'm doing the exact same, but when I'm doing this side here, I'm pulling my fingers right round, because what I don't want to do is have this short up here. I want to create the heavy line here, do you see that? So I want to create that heavy line there. So if I take it up too high, so say if I went up like that, I'm taking away from the top of the hair. I don't want to take away from the top of the hair. I want to take away from the bottom of the hair, and I want to keep the length, most of the length at the top. So I'm just bringing it all in again. So I want my heavier line here. I'll do the same at the other side. Hopefully you can see it okay. So I'm bringing everything into the middle. I'm trying to do this the opposite way if I normally do it, because I would normally be on that other side. It's just so that it's easier for this video. As long as I get my finger positions right, it'll be fine, but I always tend to go around the other side. Okay, 2 sections done. It looks mad with all these colours. Okay, and I'm going to continue just another couple of sections, and then I'll work around the sides, and then I'm going to do a bit of wearing through it. Once I get to the top of the ear, I start bringing in the sides. So I'm starting my middle section again, and I'm bringing it down to my bottom section, if you can see that, and I'm angling my fingers. Excellent. So I'm bringing everything in here. If you notice how I'm combing from the top here, try to do this as slow as I can so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm taking my section nice and fine, and I'm bringing it straight into the middle, but I'm angling so that my fingers here are up, so that I've got the length at the top. Okay, can you see okay? I'm going to have to turn this way a wee bit. Hope you can see it okay. It's just quite awkward to do this side because of the camera there. Hopefully you can see it better for this angle. You see? I'm taking my sections and I'm bringing it in. Again, straight sections. You probably can see it a wee bit better for this side because it was quite awkward me trying to do this side going round the other way. Okay. My two sides to make sure this side's a wee tiny bit longer. So I'm going to make sure these two sides are the same before I carry on. It's just underneath here. Always check in between sections, check, because it's easier to fix a section as you're going along rather than doing the full haircut and it's all off. Just see a wee bit here. So you start to see the shape. But remember, I'm going to layer this a bit as well. I'm going to take a wee bit out of here. And I'm also making some wee lines so that I can show you me taking them out. Okay, so I'm going to do, let me see what side she is. I'm going to do this side a bit longer. So I'm going to section it. I'm going to angle it from the top down. From here down. And I'm going to have this side just a wee tiny bit longer than the other side. So that it's more asymmetrical. Okay. Now, hopefully you can see here okay. It's really, really awkward trying to get the angles right for this for you. Hopefully you can see it okay. I'm not too worried about these bits here because I'll get them off with my layering when I go through it. So I'm just taking a wee tiny bit off so I can join the sides in. Just always remember when you're doing this, it's all about angles. Okay. Right. I'm going to do the sides. Okay. So all I'm doing here is I want to keep this side quite long. If you can see the shape of that, it's quite nice at that shape there. So I'm going to keep this side quite long. And then when I go to the other side, I'm going to put that a wee bit shorter. Come around here so you can see okay. So I'm going to bring that round and join that in as well. Again, I'm not worried too much about that because I'll get that with my layering. But you can actually see the shape better if you do it as you go along. Hopefully you can see that okay. Can you see that okay? And I'll just carry on till I finish this section here. And then I'll go around the other section. Again, you notice how I'm just always taking diagonal sections. There's nothing straight at all. There's not really much coming off this wee part here. once I've done this, I'm just going to quickly dry it, and then I'll show you what I mean with keeping lines in it to show you how to get them out. Oops, threw my comb away. Okay, so there's one side done. So now we're going to the other side. I'm going to make this side shorter. Just slightly, not too, not too short, but just slightly shorter. It just always gives it a wee bit of dimension if you do that. So when I'm here, I'm not going to angle that. I'm just going to have that straighter. Okay, so I'm having this a lot straighter than I have it the other side, because I want that fringe being longer there. Do you see that? You know, I'm actually quite liking this without putting too much layers in it. See, that's what happens when you start cutting. You change your mind halfway through and you think, you know what, that's quite nice the way it is. And that's no wrong doing that. It's quite actually good to do that. I'm still going to give it a wee layer, but I'm not going to do as much as I was going to do it yet, because it's actually sitting quite nice the way it is. I'm just pulling it out when I go around here just to take away all the ends off it. And then I'm just conscious of the time with these videos, because see if they're any longer than about 20 minutes, they're a nightmare trying to upload. So I'll just finish this quickly. Okay, right, let me have a wee look. Sorry about your face there, missus. Right, so do you see, it's just slightly, oops, long, I'm having a disaster with this today. At least you know that I do things live and I don't pretend everything's hunky-dory. Okay, right, so there she's done, right? So what I'm going to do is literally I'm just going to go through the hair and I'm just going to put a tiny wee layer in it. So just a tiny wee layer. Just want to make it, give it a wee bit of shape. So I'm going to start just at my top here. I'm going to work through my back. Hopefully you can see this okay. I'm going to put her down and a touch more and maybe see her. Hopefully you can see that okay. Because my hair looks a bit dark next to hers. Might be really blonde again, I think. Okay, so I'm going to bring this straight up, okay, to here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop into it. I'm not going to cut a straight line into it. So the reason I want to do that is because I want texture. If I cut a straight line in that, it'll look just way too liney and too boring. So I'm literally going to lift it up, and all I'm going to do is, if you can see it, there's my guideline, I'm just going through it. Now when you're chopping into anything, make sure you go through the hair. Which I mean is, don't do that at the top, that'll create another line. Right through it, make sure you go right through that hair. That's the only way you're going to create texture. And if you don't do that, you're going to create lines. So straight up, see, there's my guideline, do you see it? Maybe do it for the side so you can see that better. Right, so if I'm holding this up here, you see my guideline? There and there. This bit comes out. But if you've noticed, I ain't cutting a straight line. I'm not wanting to cut a straight line in it. Right, so I'm pulling it out and pulling it out. So have a look, there's a triangle, do you see it? So my guideline's there and my guideline's there. So I'm taking this part out the middle. That's the bit I want out. Okay, so take the next section. Exact same again, I'm bringing it in. Right, just look at the triangle shape. You know I tell you about triangles. One there, guideline there, look. There's a triangle, take it out. Triangles and haircuts shouldn't be there. So you can either chop into it that way or chop into it that way, whatever you find comfortable. And I'll do the same with this part here. If you've noticed, I'm not layering it too much at all. And remember what I told you with the other haircuts? If you keep going through the hair and the hair drops, it means there's nothing to come off. Don't cut it. But if you've noticed with this, I'm pulling this out rather than up because I want some layers through here. Now if I wanted this, just a layer through the top, I would pull this up high and that would keep my length at the bottom, but I'm actually wanting some of the kind of bulk out of here, so that's why I'm taking it out the way rather than up. So if I take it up, I'm putting less layers through here. If I take it out, I'm putting more layers through here, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to do the exact same on the other side. And just watch what I'm doing. I'll turn it that way and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so I'm lifting it up. Right, so look, there it's there. Take it off. Okay, and then once I dry it, I will show you. In fact, I might just actually colour it first. I'll colour it first and then I'll dry it and then I'll show you how to take out these wee lines. I've left a few wee lines. There's not too much in it, but there is a few. I've deliberately left a few wee lines so I can show you how to take it out. Okay, so straight up and then I'm pointing in. But as I'm coming down here, I'm going across because I want to take weight out of here. Do you see that? They get so tuggy, these doll's heads, as you know. Right, so I'm just bringing this back, up, chopping. Remember, you're chopping through it, you're not chopping on top of it. So see here, I'm going through that because I want to create texture. There we go. Okay. So that looks great actually at the back because it's really full. So I'm going to join in the front sections, the exact same. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it back into my back section. I want to take that front part away just now because I'm not working with that. And all I'm doing is I'm going to lift this up and you'll see my giggling in a sec when I lift it up. So I'm lifting it up and I'm pulling it back, but look at this, I want all this off the top here. Okay, and then I'm going down the sides. You'll probably be able to see it better, I think, for here with the angles. So I'm pulling it out. So I'm pulling everything out and chopping into it. Okay. I'm doing the same with the other side. Do you see that? Look at that, all that here. It needs to come off. Right, so remember I'm pulling the sides out and I'm taking the weight out of here because I want the weight out the sides. I don't want just the weight out the top. Okay, and I'll take my last wee section and then I'll stop this video and then I'll mix up my colours and I'll show you what I'm using and then I'll start putting that on. And then we'll dry it and I'll show you how to take out lines. I'm just bringing everything back. I'm bringing it back because I don't want to lose all the length at the front. So the further back I bring it, the more length I keep. So if you've noticed, as I'm going forward here at the front, I'm bringing it back more, right? So that I'm not taking just as much off of that as I would take off the rest, right? So when I get to the front here, I'm coming right back, so I'm not taking as much off of here, but I'm still joining it in because I'm pulling it back and I'm joining it in, but I'm just trying to create more length at the front here, and on the other side. Okay, there we have her. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to stop this and I'll restart it in a sec.